Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to look at a different kind of deck, another kind of updated deck for the new standard format, and it's going to be an Empoleon Miltank deck. Now this deck did lose a lot from the rotation. The two biggest cards I would say it lost are Level Ball, the ability to search for your little Pokemon, very, very big, and also Tropical Beach, allowing you to set up sometimes, because you are running a Stage 2 Pokemon. This can be a slow deck sometimes. The loss of those two cards hurts quite a bit, but we're going to try it out anyway. All right, we'll see if Empoleon can survive the new format. So of course, let's take a look at Empoleon, card we've seen many times before. 140 HP Stage 2 Pokemon, has a nice ability, Diving Draw. Discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards. And then Attack Command does 10 damage for every Pokemon in play. A pretty simple Pokemon when you look at it, but it can be very powerful since it is a non-EX. Attacks for 1 energy. Pretty cool card. Alright, so the goal of the deck is going to be set up as many Empoleon as possible and just swarm with them and attack command your opponent to death. That's pretty much the idea. We have a 4-2-4 Empoleon line. It's worth noting that the other Piplup did rotate out, so you have to use the much cuter one now with Charm from Legendary Treasures. And then we have this Prinplup with 90 HP. We have a 4-2-4 Empoleon line. Of course, this was reprinted in Plasma Freeze as a secret rare, so Empoleon is still legal in the format, even though the first one was in Dark Explorers. Alright, so we have Empoleon, and then our other attacker is going to be Miltank. For 1 energy, we can use Powerful Friends. If there's a Stage 2 Pokemon on your bench, 80 damage. Very efficient. 80 for 1. Pretty good. I mean, you don't get much better than that. Basic Pokemon, only 100 HP, but this is kind of your Pokemon that you use while you're trying to set up more Empoleon. Miltank, not the main attacker in the deck, but probably the one you want to lead off with most of the time until you get like 2 Empoleon in play, and then you just kind of swarm with your Empoleon. Now, to make up for the fact that this deck is fairly slow, we also run Dusknoir. Sinister Hand allows us to rearrange damage on our opponent's board. So, the idea here is Empoleon normally will not knock things out in one hit. Right? Attack Command does 120 damage at the most. That's if your opponent has a full bench, and so do you, and that's not going to happen very often. What will happen pretty often is you'll hit for about 100 damage. And then you'll have some damage left over, right? Let's say you attack an Yveltal EX for 100, and then you attack for 100 again, well, you're wasting 30 damage. Right? You're doing 30 more than you need to. With Dusknoir's Sinister Hand, you can move that 30 away and say, alright, we're going to move this damage somewhere else. Maybe it'll come in handy later. Dusknoir, we've seen it time and time again. It is an incredibly powerful Pokemon, and Empoleon is one of the best combinations for it. So we have a 2-1-2 line of Dusknoir. 1 Mr. Mime just to protect our bench. Never know when that can come in handy. And then 1 Execute, since its propagation ability is very good with Diving Draw. Right, you just take it out of your discard it for Diving Draw, and basically you're drawing 2 cards for free every turn. Pretty good. Alright, now, like I said earlier, the loss of Level Ball, devastating for this deck, so now we have to run 4 Pokemon Fan Club to get our Pokemon into play. It's a supporter, allows us to grab 2 basic Pokemon. It's not a spectacular card, but it does just enough to get our basics into play. Our other supporters, we're going to have 4N, 2 Chorus, 2 Professor Juniper, 2 Skyla, right? 2 Skyla, yep. And 1 Dowsing Machine for the Ace-Spec card, and 1 Lysander, of course. Just a great card to have in your deck. And then our other things... we have some interesting cards here, and then some pretty standard cards. Interesting card is going to be Training Center. Now, Empoleon can benefit from this card quite a bit. Right? Each Stage 1 and Stage 2 Pokemon in play get plus 30 HP. That makes Empoleon a very intimidating 170 HP instead of 140. Much more difficult to knock out. Now, the downside is that most decks do run Stadium cards, so a lot of the time this just gets countered and then... well, you lose your benefit, but I think it's worth trying out. Having the extra HP, being able to survive a turn, could be very useful for Empoleon. So along with that, those training centers, we're also going to run Max Potion. discard all the energy from a Pokemon and then heal all the damage from it. Pretty good. Since Empoleon attacks for 1 energy, very, very good. All right, we can just Max Potion, attach new energy, and go from there. So Training Center and Max Potion are kind of the interesting cards in this deck. Not sure if they're worth running, but it's just a thought. We have 2 Muscle Band just to increase the damage we can do in this kind of a deck, just to remain a little unpredictable. And then 3 Ultra Ball to search for our evolutions and other Pokemon. 4 Rare Candy to evolve our big Stage 2s. A couple switching cards, a switch, and an escape rope. Startling Megaphone, and a Sacred Ash in order to recover 5 of our Pokemon if need be, if we need to get some Empoleon pieces back into the deck. Okay, so here is the deck, and I've already given you my concerns about the loss of Level Ball and Tropical Beach, but I think the biggest concern with this deck in today's game is actually going to be Seismitoad EX. Seismitoad EX really kills evolution cards because it shuts down Rare Candy. Not only that, it shuts down Ultra Ball. It just makes it extremely difficult to evolve your Stage 2 Pokemon. Right? Quaking Punch prevents your item cards from being played, and that really puts a damper on the Stage 2 decks. Right? It's very difficult to run them at all. So if I had to guess, I would say Empoleon decks will not be too strong in the upcoming format, but they are worth trying out. You never know. They are very good against things like Landorus EX and also Pyroar decks. So, I don't know. There might be a place, you know, some little corner where Empoleon could be good at some point, but as long as Seismitoad EX is around, I don't see Empoleon being great. But let's go ahead and play a game with it on Pokemon TCG Online, and let's see what happens. You know, if we do happen to face like a fighting deck here, it could be good, right? Landorus EX weak to water. Can get a nice one-hit knockout with Attack Command. It works for me. One-hit knockout on a Pokemon EX for 1 energy. Last time I checked, that's pretty good. Alright, so we see Landorus EX coming down with the strong energy. That is very strong. And just a pass since my opponent cannot attack going first. And I'm going to start off with that Pokemon Fan Club. Grab the double Piplup. Drop those down onto the bench. Just drop an energy onto one of those cute little guys. And pass the turn. Not much else we can do here. Alright, so this is a pretty intimidating position. Even though Landorus EX is weak to water, this can be pretty nerve-wracking, right? If we just see a Hammerhead can hit a Piplup for 30 on the bench, and then if I don't evolve immediately, we could have some problems. But we'll see what happens. See another strong energy go onto the benched Landorus. Not sure why my opponent's powering up that one, but well, but hey, Rare Candy and Empoleon. Great draw off the top there with that Rare Candy, and now we have some life. Alright, so we should be able to pull off an Attack Command this turn. Just going to attach to the active Duskull and probably just retreat. We'll Chorus for 5. Hopefully get enough Pokemon to knock out this Landorus. There are currently 7 Pokemon in play, so I need a Muscle Band or an extra 2 basics, and what do you know? Draw the Muscle Band. We'll drop down the second Duskull and the Muscle Band and an Attack Command for 200 damage on the second turn. Take that, Landorus. Yeah. Alright. So what next? We have taken the first 2 prizes, which is very strange. It's running a Stage 2 deck against a big basic kind of a deck. So this is an unexpected result, but that's what you get when you have your opponent's weakness, I suppose. But from here, I mean, it's going to be a little more difficult. Lucario EX, not weak to water, so we're going to have to 2-hit knock out that thing, but we do have the bit of a prize buffer here. Right, we have 2 prize lead, have an Empoleon in play already, so anything can happen here. We just see the Shout of Power getting 40 more damage on the Empoleon. At this point, I don't see my opponent putting down any extra Landorus EX. Would be kind of silly, so I'm going to dump the Mr. Mime there with the Diving Draw. And okay, got a Skyla. We can grab another Rare Candy. Get that into play. A second Empoleon. And we have the Swarm beginning to form. Getting those Stage 2s into play. Drawing the extra cards with Diving Draw. I mean, we're starting to get into gear a little bit. Got drawn 4 extra cards this turn. The discards are kind of hurting me. I don't have Execute in the discard pile. It's just pretty annoying, but we'll deal with it, I suppose. Drop down the Miltank and a Water Energy on Empoleon. And I suppose might as well put down that Training Center and Attack Command for 220 damage. Get in the knockout on that Landorus. So we're up 3 prizes at this point, but that Lucario EX can get very scary, right? We can just kind of get bulldozed by the Somersault Kick once there's enough energy on that Lucario EX. And like I said, we don't really have a way to knock out Lucario EX in one hit. There's the Corkscrew Smash for 100. Maybe I should consider adding a Mew EX. That could be kind of a cool addition here to just kind of drop down against the Lucario and be like, haha, Attack Command. Now you're weak to Psychic and one hit knockout. Something to consider perhaps, but for now we're just going to try to deal with Lucario EX the old-fashioned way, just hitting with 2-hit knockout. Let's Skyla for another supporter here. Going to grab Professor Juniper. Seems like the best thing to grab right there. Attached to the Miltank. And I do have a Sacred Ash. I'll probably just wait to play it until Miltank gets knocked out next turn. But here we have Powerful Friends, 80 damage. Just setting up the Lucario EX to be knocked out in the following turn. Next turn we should be able to Attack Command for enough damage if I get enough Pokemon in play. Should work out, right? But again, Mew EX might not be a bad addition in here. Just to copy Attack Command, hit those Psychic weak Pokemon for weakness. I may have to consider that in the future. That would be a very big play right here. Of course, Mew EX has that versatile ability, allows it to use any attack in play. I would just use Empoleon's Attack Command. Alright, so there's always room for improvement. Alright, we see Professor's Letter from my opponent. Fighting Energy going on to the bench, Lucario EX. And we see a Karina for a Muscle Band. And that means, okay, it looks, wow, my opponent's actually going to retreat here, trying to preserve that Lucario EX, not give up the 2 prizes. And there's the Missile Jab for 100 damage, taking down Miltank. That's fine, though. We do have Empoleon. Let's Sacred Ash all those Pokemon back into the deck. I suppose we can just drop an energy down somewhere. We'll put it on that Duskull. Never know if we'll need to retreat it or something. And then Juniper for a fresh 7 cards and Diving Draw. We'll just discard a Prinplup. Don't think I'll need 2 of those at this point. And Dusknoir coming down on the board. So here I have a couple different options. Could Sinister Hand some damage up to the active Lucario EX. Knock it out. Knock out the only thing that has energy in play. And that seems like the right thing to do. Let's go with the Sinister Hand. Dusknoir coming in handy here. And let's see, I'm doing 90, 110 with the Muscle Band. So just got to make sure there's 110 HP left. And Attack Command for 110 damage. Going on to 1 prize. So this has been a pretty powerful display of Empoleon so far. I mean, I guess the turn 2 knockout on the Landorus EX helps. But beyond that, it's been a pretty darn good game. We've just been able to Attack Command over and over. When you can get Empoleon out like this, it is a very strong card still. But the struggle is just going to be getting him into play in this format, especially against Seismitoad EX. But, I mean, we've always seen Empoleon be a strong card if you can get enough of them into play. Attack Command just extremely efficient. No doubt about that. So now we see Lucario EX, the N to 1, giving me an N. And we may just see Lucario EX hitting for a paltry 30 damage. That might not be the best situation for my opponent, especially with that Training Center in play. I haven't seen any stadiums out of my opponent. Been kind of a strange game. And oh, just a victory. My opponent concedes the game. Seeing that, all right, there's really not much I can do about Empoleon at this point. I'm just going to give it up. So Empoleon manages to defeat the Fighting Garbodor deck, which we are seeing quite a bit of these days. And, you know, if that deck ever gets popular, this is a very good option to counter it. There may be better options, but hey, Empoleon is always out there. But we did get the mystery gift as well. What's in the box? 25 tokens. Great. More tokens to add to the collection. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.